Shalom. All right, so just want to put this disclaimer at the front. I am not saying that Malcolm X got everything wrong, because it don't actually. He's one of my favorite people out of the civil rights. I mean, he went through the whole radical thing, which the Nation of Islam, like the American Black Nation of Islam, right, that he followed, right. That was basically, I mean, that was kind of the Nation of Islam is to Islam what Mormonism is to Christianity. When you don't look into it, it looks a lot like Christianity, right? Or it looks a lot like Islam. But when you actually dive in and see what they teach, like it's nothing, not even close. But I agree with Malcolm X on a lot, but probably a lot more than I do Martin Luther King.
I'm wondering if you still believe, as I think you certainly did at the time you were allied to the Black Muslim movement, in a segregated black nation in North America.
I don't believe in any form of segregation or any form of racism. I'm against any form of segregation and against racism.
Am I right in saying that the Black Muslim movement, which you have left, did believe in that?
Well, Elijah Muhammad taught his followers that the only solution was a separate state for black people. And as long as I thought he genuinely believed that himself, I believed in him and believed in his solution. But when I began to doubt that he himself believed that that was feasible, and I saw no kind of action designed to bring it into existence or bring it about, then I turned in a different direction.
Are you still a Muslim yourself?
Oh, yes. I'm a Muslim. I believe in the religion of Islam, which believes in brotherhood, complete brotherhood of all people. But at the same time that I believe in this brotherhood, I don't believe in forcing my desire for brotherhood upon those who aren't willing to accept it.
Of course, I think the Christians would say that they also believed in brotherhood. What did you say to that?
I'd say they believe in it, but don't practice it.
Well, that'd be a pretty good answer. Sir, when the...
Didn't you hear?
No, what happened?
The Brooklyn Dodgers brought up Jackie Robinson, and we're pounding the hell out of them celebrating.
Yeah, that's all right.
Sure. White man throw us a bone and we're supposed to forget 400 years of oppression.
Yeah, but a Negro playing in the big leagues, that's something, ain't it?
I told you to go behind the words and dig out the truth. They let us sing and dance and smile. And then they let one so-called Negro into the majors. That doesn't cancel out the greatest crime in history. When that grafted, blue-eyed devil locked us in chains, 100 million of us.
This attitude that we often hear from the transatlantic, that it was a completely European racist system, of which exactly it was, but it didn't start there. We see something earlier in the Islamic slave trade.
Can I give you a personal note on this?
Go ahead.
We lived in West Africa for 5 years, my wife and I, between 1986 and 1991. And we lived inland in a place called Thiès. And our next door neighbors were Tukulors. They had been Islamic since the 11th century, their families. And so we would go down to Dakar, and I remember taking two of my friends, Ali was his name, and his cousin came along with us, and we went down to Dakar, which is the capital right on the coast. And we went out to an island called Gorée,
yes,
which was the slave island. And I wanted to go see it, and so they came with me. And we went out there, and we noticed all these Americans, Black Afro-Americans. They had just come in a beautiful air-conditioned bus.
Yeah.
And they got off the air-conditioned bus and got on an air-conditioned boat to go out to an air-conditioned restaurant where they had lunch out on the island. And my two friends have never been hardly been air-conditioned in their whole lives. They were looking at these people, and they said, "Isn't it interesting? We enslaved their ancestors. And now they're coming back in air-conditioned buses, coming on air-conditioned airplanes, landing and staying in air-conditioned hotels," because in Senegal it is bristling hot. It was 40 degrees, 45 degrees every day. And they said, and I kind of turned to them and said, "Isn't it ironic? Your people enslaved their people. And now they're coming back much richer than you are. They have the cameras, they have the air, they can go all over the world. You have never been on an airplane in your life. You never will, because you can't afford it." And I said, "Here's the irony. Look what has happened." And they said, "Yes, in fact, we did all the enslaving." And they told me that our ancestors used to war against their ancestors. They would be defeated. We put them in chains and sold them to the Arabs.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, why do you think we're going out to Gorée?" See, why is it that these slave houses were
Broke up our families, tortured us, cut us off from our language, our religion, our history. Let me tell you about black history. We are the original man. The first men on earth were black. They ruled, and there wasn't a white face anywhere. But they teach us that we lived in caves and swung from trees. That's a lie.
happened before the transatlantic slave trade?
The Portuguese first took slaves in 1455. This is the 15th century.
Okay.
And my friends and I, we used to talk about this, and I had a friend who would say, well, how is it that Europeans can just come to Africa like that and just take people? Wasn't there a fight? Wasn't there, uprisings against this? How on earth could they just take people into slavery?
Was there something already in existence
Well,
there?
this is what we found out, that there was already a system of slave trading, and it was run, in many cases, by Arab Muslims. And we get not only the fact that they were operating the slave trade, but we also get the writings from very prominent Muslim scholars like Ibn Khaldun. So remember, transatlantic started in the 15th century. Ibn Khaldun, writing in the 14th century, he says this. He says the Negro nation are as a rule submissive, and when it's talking about Negro, it means black people. They're submissive to slavery because they have little that is essentially human and have attributes that are quite similar to dumb animals. He later goes on and says they cannot be considered as human beings.
Okay, they've got it right there on the screen.
Yeah.
This is really the 1300s moving into the, he died in 1406. So we say 14th century because that's when he would be writing.
But look at the attitude.
Black men never did that. We were a race of kings when the white man crawled around on all fours over the hills of Europe. Do they know who they are? Do you know where you came from? What's your name?
Malcolm Little.
No. That's the name of the slave masters who own your family. You don't even know who you are. You're nothing. Less than nothing. Who are you?
Look, hey, shit. All right, I ain't Malcolm Little, I ain't Red. I damn sure ain't Satan.
That's right. So who are you?
I don't know.
We are a nation, the tribe of Shabazz, lost in this wilderness called North America.
Tribe of Shabazz.
I don't believe in nonviolence. I believe there is a time for violence. Like the riots and stuff was not the time for violence. And especially it matters who the violence is against. Right? So if you're just indiscriminately burning down buildings and burning people's stuff, you're actually then being a tyrant, just like the people that you supposedly are against. But often, BLM and Antifa and all those Marxist groups are often more tyrannical than the government. Actually, they burn the stuff down and then they demand that the government be more tyrannical, that the government be harsher. But then they wanna take away the police. But really, what they're pushing for, it's what's going to end up happening is a nationalization or a federalization of the entire police force, which is not good. I mean, you right now, your defenses are your state, your local county, more county. If your county police aren't constitutionally minded, then you need to vote for a new sheriff, and there needs to be new reforms and stuff. But and then your state police. The state police, for some reason, they tend to be more in line with whatever. They're probably I'm not gonna say they're the least constitutional, but I'm gonna say that they tend to go along with what your local and the state police tend to be the ones that go along with the bullcrap, and then your sheriff department like in most normal states, the sheriff department seems to be the more constitutional minded. Not in all states by any means. So it just depends on where you are, like your county, all that stuff. So, but like a lot of his teaching, like I mean, when it comes to blacks, like education, I mean, yeah, protecting yourself, like a proper gun culture, and gun safety, self-defense, like knowing the difference. But education as well is important. We have to return the social justice stuff in all your schools. Like that's a waste of time. Your school should be so that they teach them math, geometry, all that stuff, so that and logic. Teach them their constitutional rights. But then I also would say that schools should teach like life skills, but not like doing your bills, doing taxes. Like there should be a class that teaches you basic classes, and then you should be able to go and learn. Basically, you should be able to come out of high school and know how to do taxes completely yourself if you want so, or if you wish to do so, right? So, there's a lot of skills that you should be learning. How to keep track of your expenses and things like that. I'm sure that some high schools have programs like that, but like the basic skills should be what you learn, from elementary to middle school, and then in high school, and then like your final, like the last year should be like mostly of skills that you would need to live on your own, right? But that's what I would do, and I would return to a more classical education. So, in videos going forward, I will start, outlining what that means and how that you gotta have intelligent youth to be able to, like, they're the next generation. That's what's gonna lift you out of that pothole. You know what I'm saying? Out of that rut, the majority. And then that's going to perpetuate the community, the black community, black Americans, on the level that, a lot of other people are on. And, we'll have high standards. But if you keep listening to the education that these Marxist left want to teach your kids and stuff, like you allow this stuff in your schools and you just focus on the hate and all that stuff, like your kids are going to remain stupid. And that's part of the plan. And then that's why they're also lowering standards to graduate high school, because they want your kids to stay stupid because they're easier to control if they're stupid. And most of these thugs and stuff like that, like most of them are stupid. Like, they're smart, like they can do math and like parts of that, but like they're ignorant, a lot of them. But the ones that are really smart are the ones normally at the top, right? So, but these ones that are going around here shooting and stuff like that, a lot of them don't have, like, they barely got like 2 brain cells. They just out here doing dumb shit, like, because that's what, the streets raised them to do. But fathers, restoring the black family, and marriage, like, and maybe I'll do a video I'm gonna have to video about talking about that. But yeah, so anyways, so here's the Malcolm X video. Enjoy, if you made it this far. So have a good one.